Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and Celestial Guardians just came out at the time of recording this, like a couple of days ago, and I mean, I'm posting it, a day after recording, so it is a brand new set, and it's pretty cool. It's the third main set in Pokemon TCG Pocket, and it has a bunch of cards, obviously, and it has, two different packs, and today we're going to be breaking down the top 10 best cards in the set. I have not played with all the cards in the set. I haven't even played against all the cards in the set, I don't think. But the set I've seen some stuff from it, and I've definitely played with some of the cards, and some of them are really strong. And I'm going to start at the top as well. Normally I start at number 10 and then work my way up, but obviously you kind of know what some of the good cards are, so you'll be able to figure that out pretty soon if I go that way. So I'm going to start at the top, but I will talk about some honorable mentions at the end as well. And kind of go over, in my opinion, all the interesting cards in the set. But the best card in the set is Rare Candy. Rare Candy says it's an item card and it's a really good item. It says choose one of your basic Pokemon in play. If you have a stage 2 card in your hand that evolves from that Pokemon, put that card onto the basic Pokemon to evolve it, skipping the stage 1, and you cannot use this card during the first turn, during your first turn, or on a basic Pokemon that was put into play this turn. So, if you're familiar with Rare Candy in the regular TCG, it's the exact same thing. It's slightly different wording, I think, but it's the same exact effect and it's good. Some differences if you play the regular TCG and you play Pocket, a big difference is you can't really search out Rare Candy or the Pokemon. So you need to rely on drawing into combo pieces directly. You can't, have really any way of helping that out outside of like Professor's research. There's some other minor ways to kind of help it out, but you're kind of reliant on luck to get this working. But it's really strong when it works. It kind of acts as the stage 1. But it can be faster, right? So essentially, it's a better stage 1. And if you're playing a stage 2 deck, you probably want to be playing Rare Candy unless you have a really good reason not to. Like if you're playing like Magneton, you really want the Magneton. But in general, Rare Candy is a very, very strong card. Again, it's a little swingy, it's a little hit or miss, but that's not bad. Saying a card is bad when you don't have it, that's true with everything, unless the card itself is bad. So Rare Candy is really strong. It makes stage 2 decks faster. This is the card that is probably gonna define this. I don't know. It's gonna feel like it's gonna define the game for maybe a couple of weeks or so, because it's good. It helps stage 2s. I don't think it's gonna make insanely like stronger. If a stage 2 is bad, Rare Candy is not going to make it good, but if a stage 2 is strong and solid, it's going to make it even better. So Rare Candy is a really good card, and actually a lot of the best cards from the set are stage 2s as well. Stage 2s also are already like good in Pocket, or were good in Pocket before Rare Candy, but yeah, this is going to make them better. It's especially good in double stage 2 decks or something like that as well. So looking at decks that people are playing, you can see like Beedrill EX with Meowscarada or Tidora EX with Meowscarada. These like Stage of Grass decks. I think Rare Kitty's especially good in those because you're able to, be playing. You can play less middle evolutions, but you can also increase your consistency with those decks and be able to get your stage 2s up easier. So it's good, especially in those decks, but you can play it in other things as well. Then we have the next card, which is Oricorio. I think Oricorio is really good. There's like 4, I think, Oricorios in the set. This is obviously the Lightning one. There's 2 Psychic ones, and there's a I don't remember what the other type is. I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, there's a bunch of them. The Lightning one is really good with the ability to safeguard, though. This has also been the regular TCG, and I was actually asking for it. And it says it's immune to damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon EX. Pokemon EX are really good. I guess I should pull back up the metagame some. This is actually the current metagame, which has like very few results. So it's a little off from what it actually will be, but it's close enough. And almost every top deck is an EX deck. Yes, they play non-EXs. A lot of them are evolutions, like stage 2s. So they have um, previous evolution, non-EX Pokemon, right? But most of them aren't very good. Something like Solgaleo EX, previous evolutions they don't do any damage. Something like Skarmory though, which is played in that deck, will go through your Oricorio. You trade evenly though. So if you can like focus on Oricorio, you might be able to make a deck that's just Oricorio and like support for that. I'm not sure if that's quite enough. There are some like Lightning I think is solid. You have like some solid EXs. They're kind of weak though, not gonna lie, but they are pretty fast. So you have those as options, but that's kind of hit or miss because if your opponent gets like a turn two rare candy, stage two, then you're probably just gonna lose. Well, no, then you're relying on your Oricorio to be enough, but then your opponent again, like Solgaleo EX Skarmory is a deck I've seen a lot, and it plays, a mixture of attackers, so it can kind of get through Oricorio, but it's kind of difficult as well. Oricorio is, I think, just super strong, and I think it'll continue to be strong as well, unless we see some card that's like a counter to it. I don't think it'll be like a card that is defining the game, but will be a card that if you don't respect, you're gonna have some issues. And I think a lot of people won't. And then Oricorio will be a card that will pop up and be insane, and then it'll like kind of slow down. But its attack's like fine as well. It's not amazing, but its ability is obviously really good. It's probably the I was gonna say it's the best ability in Pocket. I have no idea if that's true. I don't know of the abilities off the top of my head, and it's really hard to compare them with something like Oricorio, but it probably is. Next one we have up though is Solgaleo EX. I was just talking about it. Solgaleo EX is it's nothing absolutely crazy here in terms of uniqueness, but it does have the ability Rising Road, which says if it's on the bench, you can switch it with the active. And this deck it evolves. The card evolves from Cosmo, but that doesn't matter for this. But Cosmog, which matters, which switches to the bench, so it gets it out of the active, and then puts you in a better position, potentially into a Skarmory with a Rocky Helmet, which is cool. But even if not, it gets you out of the active, preserves your energy, puts you just in a bit of a safer position, and then you can use Solgaleo EX's ability to get back into the active. So that's some kind of fun synergy here. Side note, it's a split evolution line. The Lunala EX unfortunately does not have any synergy with Solgaleo EX, which I find very unfortunate, but regardless, I figured I'd mention that. But you do 120 for 2 metal on a stage 2, and then you do 10 to yourself. You have 180 HP though, so high HP. Good. I mean, it's good, I guess. You damage yourself, so it's not absolutely insane or anything, but it's solid. And then you have, good damage. And the downside is not very meaningful. It's 10 to yourself, which is like, you'd rather not do that, but it's not a big deal. It's a pretty simple, straightforward, strong attacker. Metal has obviously been, when Pocket came out, it was really neglected, and it's gotten more stuff, and now it's quite good. So Solgaleo EX is a really strong attack. It's the top like regular card from the set. The next one we have here is Lily. I think Lily is really good because it heals 60 from one of your stage 2 Pokemon. We've seen other heals. We've seen Potion and Pokemon Center. Lydia's the main ones, and Lily's, stronger than them, right? So Lily's really good for stage 2 decks. Stage 2 decks are pretty good. Rare Candy helps them, as I said. And then there's a bunch of good stage 2s in general, and they have high HPs. And stage 2s aren't really like ever getting one-shotted, I don't think. I mean, they can be one-shotted by a few things, but more or less you'll be okay. So you have like Charizard EX, you have Solgaleo EX, something like Charizard EX, the Charizard EX from what's it, Shining Revelry. I think it works really well with because you're a pretty simple, straightforward attacker where you just kind of play Charizard EX, and then you can focus the rest of your deck on supporting it through trainers, including Lily. Lily is a supporter, so it takes your supporter for the turn. It is not a supporter that's going to be drawing you cards or it's not like, there are other sports you might be wanting to play, so you need to get good value out of it, and you need deck space for it. So it's not a card that goes in literally every stage 2 deck, but I think it can go in most of them, and is a strong consideration for most stage 2 EX decks because you have a lot of tankiness. Generally, you're not always going to be surviving 2 hits even with Lily, but it'll help. So I think it's a card that's worthwhile in a lot of decks. It's not the splashiest or strongest card based on just like exactly what it does, because it's a more versatile card, so I'm factoring that in, and yeah, it's quite good. Obviously, 3 of the top 4 I have a pretty versatile, Oracle are a little less versatile, but you don't actually have to attack with it. And then Solgaleo, an attacker. Another attacker here is Decidueye EX. Decidueye EX has 2 attacks here, and for 2 colorless, though you'll be playing Grass Energy, I imagine. It does 100 to one of your opponent's Pokemon that has damage on it, and then you have for 2 Grass it does 80, which is okay. Obviously, if you can use the first attack, it's objectively worse the second attack. You can't always use it, but you often can. It's been played with some with Meowscarada, so there you need to like set up the damage. Oh, the Rowlet also does 10 to one of your opponent's Pokemon, so that's good for setting up the damage. And then of course you can just damage with other things. But then it's also been played some with Lurantis. I don't think Lurantis is anything spectacular. Suppose it's, or no, I think it is. I don't remember. It's on like the tail end of the top 10. We'll talk about it, but it gets some damage on the board, and that's like kind of a good combo. So that's a way to get damage on the board for Pierce the Pain, but you can use Razor Leaf as well. Razor Leaf is not, super spectacular. We're talking about Solgaleo EX doing 120. This just does 80, but it's still like fine. It certainly can be enough at times. And then Pierce the Pain is really good because it allows you to snipe, which can essentially be the equivalent of playing a Cyrus, and Cyrus is obviously really good. And this is essentially like the attack with Cyrus built in, more or less. So it's very good. It's Cyrus built in if you're finishing it off, but it's like decently versatile. It's decently strong. Just a general good stats attacker. The third stage 2 we actually have on this list is Incineroar EX. Incineroar EX I think is also quite good. It's not as, I don't know, it's different, right? It's not a 2 energy solid damage stage 2. You have 2 attacks here. You have Fire Fang for 1 fire. You do 30 and then Burn. Burn is like solid, some extra damage there. Fire Fang is not bad at all. It's cheap, and if you're going for a fast stage 2, then you might not necessarily have the energies on it, and this can be very good. You could do this turn 2 going first, theoretically. Be putting damage onto the board. It's not insane damage, but Incineroar EX I think is pretty solid. I could see it a little down the list. Honestly, I think the top 5 are clearly like better than the other cards, but Incineroar EX is also pretty good. And then Scar Charge Smash for 3 energy 2, which are fire. You do 80 if it has damage counters on it, or damage on it, then you do 60 more, so you'll be doing 140, which is good, obviously. It's not one-shotting everything good, but it's still good. And then you have solid HP, or no, you have good HP here. And you just have some versatility. Nothing absolutely insane about this card again, but it's pretty solid as a stage 2. And some decks will definitely have a lot of trouble with it. You also are fire, which allows you to hit a few cards for weakness. I mean, you hit Decidueye EX for weakness and Solgaleo EX for weakness, so that's kind of fun. But the next card we have here is Crabominable EX. Crabominable EX is the first stage 1 EX we have on this list, and it is a stage 1 with 160 HP. So that's kind of nice. This is pretty similar to something kind of like Executor EX, I think, and it has the attack Insatiable Striking. It does 40 for 1 water, which isn't super good, but during your next turn, it does 40 more, so it'll do 80. It does not like stack, but it'll do 80 from then on, assuming you're not switched out or something. This is a card that's pretty simple, straightforward. You just want to attack over and over. Water has like pretty solid healing. Yes, I mean you got like Irida, which is kind of cool. You can use that to keep yourself, alive, and then you can also, I don't know, you can just kind of like build. You don't need to focus on Crabominable EX, right? It's pretty simple, straightforward. It's a stage 1, so it's not, you don't need like rare candy, and you don't need like as lucky draws or anything like that. And then you also have it's just 1 energy, right? So you don't need to we can go first, which is nice, and then also it's just good, right? Chronomical EX is just really solid stats, nothing absolutely insane, but I like this card a lot because of its high HP and solid damage. You could set up something else behind it if you wanted, something like power up another attacker, or you could have something like Sacred Ninja or like something like that is going to have an ability to support it as well. But overall, I think Chronomical EX is a really solid card, though nothing absolutely insane. Then we have Leaf Cape. Leaf Cape is a tool. This card, it gives 30 extra HP to grass Pokemon. It's good for grass. Honestly, this one's kind of weird because we don't have that many tools in the game, right? And a lot of them are not type specific, and they're really good. But Leaf Cape is a card that does just gives you extra HP, and it's a good chunk of extra HP. It's a little more than Giant Cape, so that's cool. Not that Giant Cape is bad. Giant Cape is a good card, but it's objectively better for grass. So it's a card that's probably something you want to be playing in most grass decks, which is good, right? It's not like the biggest impact card, but it's pretty good. There's not too much to break down here, but it's a good card. Then we have Eluma, I think is how you say the supporter. I don't know. I don't remember this character from like Pokemon, but it's a character. And it says it's a supporter that says put one of your colorless Pokemon that has damage on it into your hand. This is essentially the same as Sharon's Care from the regular TCG. It's a little bit different, but it's similar. And then it's a healing card, right? It's a healing card and technically allows you to reuse abilities, but I think it's good with, I don't know, I kind of like it with Arceus EX. The energy is like is a bit of an issue. I'm not actually sure exactly where this fits in, if it actually fits in anywhere, but it's a full healing effect, which is like a really big deal. So again, I don't know exactly what you want to be playing this with. There is the the funny little Rayquaza EX. That actually seems kind of terrible, but it can kind of save you if you're like, oh, I'm gonna get knocked down anyways. I should just scoop it up and then go ahead and heal it up completely. I don't hate this card. I think it can be really good. I don't think it has the right partner just yet, but maybe it does, and I'm just missing it. I'm actually really interested in hearing in the comments what you think. If you think I'm overrating this card or underrating it or whatever, this is the one that I'm probably least sure about. Number 10 spot, though, we have Lurantis. This one does Throwing Grass. I talked about it a little bit earlier, but it does 20 to each of your opponent's Pokemon. This is a good spread Pokemon. It's probably the best one. Not really a card you can deck build around like entirely, but it's good for getting some extra damage on the board. Synergizes really well with Decidueye EX, and it's seen play as well so far. Looking at some tournaments as well, which isn't everything, especially because the limited tournament sample size, but it's still pretty solid. A card that I think is, fine. It's cool. It's a card I kind of like. Again, you can't really deck build around it, even if you want to go like to a full spread deck, but it's just a cool card. And definitely pretty solid. And there are some other cards I want to mention from the set as well. So first of all, going over the other EXs, I think Wishy-Washy EX is fine. It has a lot of HP. It has more HP than Crabominable EX, and it's a basic, but you need a bunch of like Wishy-Washes on your board, and it's kind of expensive and not super strong. I don't think this card's bad at all. I think it's actually decent, but it's kind of awkward as well. Then you have Lunala EX, I kind of mentioned it. It's not very good, I don't think. I mean, its attack's like kind of weak, and its ability is not very useful in my opinion. It could be useful in a few situations. It's better to have it than not have it, but I'd say it's worse than Solgaleo EX's ability, and I don't think Solgaleo EX's ability is like all that useful. It's nice. Solgaleo EX's ability, I think it'll definitely come into play a bunch of matches and kind of save you an energy, which is a big deal, I guess. But as you get into the game, it's not meaningful. Lunala EX's ability can be nice and like mid to late turns, like probably one of them where you like retreat Lunala EX, then you can use the ability. Theoretically, it could be the other way around, and you can actually pair it with like Giratina EX as well. So it's actually not bad. It might be better than Solgaleo EX's ability, but also Lunala EX, it's just not super strong, and there might be a spot for this. This was pretty close to making it honestly, but I was kind of talking about it like it's really bad, and it's not that bad, but it's also not super impressive. Passimian EX here has its ability that like keeps the energy on the board, but it's just not very strong. It's 60 for 2, but there are better cards, right? It's kind of fun, but nothing super impressive here. We do have Lucario, which is like kind of cool. I think this card like theoretically be played, but it's a bit of a stretch. Then Alolan Muck EX. This one is really weird and has a lot of text, but it like does special conditions. It's nothing super spectacular though. Kind of funny, but nothing crazy there. Then I think is that the last EX? I didn't count, but I think it is. And if I missed one, then it's bad. So yeah. Alolan Raichu EX. Yeah, this one's actually all right. It's kind of like on Mega EX being 3 colorless on a stage 1, and then it can hit weakness. It's lightning type. It's all right. This one's actually not bad. It's fine, but nothing super spectacular in my opinion. There are a few other cards I want to mention from the set that I think are potentially good. There's the Fire Oricorio. I found the other one. That's actually it's not that bad, but not super good either. There is the I can't find the cards. I should have planned this out. There's the Vikavolt, which item locks. I don't think it's super good, but something to keep an eye out for. We might actually see more item lock in the future. Comfey recovers special conditions on like Pokemon with Psychic Energy. I think there could be a use case of this, but not super definitively either. Mimikyu is like pretty solid stats. Tapu Lele I think could have a place, but nothing spectacular there. Then you see Conkeldurr's like okay, it's kind of funny, but nothing crazy. This Lycanroc is actually pretty decent. It does for 2 fighting 50, but if your opponent's active has more HP remaining, has more remaining HP than this Pokemon, so it starts at 100. Most like EXs are gonna have more than it, or I think all of them do. But then they'll do no, I cannot speak. It can do 100, which is pretty solid for 2 fighting on a stage 1. It could be better, but it's not bad. It definitely, could be used. Obviously, if you have more HP, then it's kind of weak, but whatever, has a place. Meteor is like, you could kind of use it. It has some use cases. Then there is the Magirna. Oh, there's also Excadrill. Excadrill's, fine, 50 for 1. Nothing super spectacular, but if you want to play it, you could. Magirna does 80 to a Pokemon with an ability. It's okay. It's 2 energy. Skarmory is quite good, and they're kind of similar as these basic single point metal Pokemon, but I think Magirna is definitely all right. Klefki is kind of like I guess it's like Skarmory. It's not that similar, but it's a 1 metal on a basic, and it draws you a card, and it does 10 damage, and 70 HP. It's an okay card. I definitely kind of like cards like this, but um, I don't know if it's particularly strong, but it's interesting. Then there is an Oranguru, which is like a disruptive card. There is also Big Malasada for healing, Fishing Net for recovery, Poison Barb as well. This is another tool. It's kind of like, so if it's, you're damaged, then you poison your points active. It's kind of like Rocky Helmet. It's probably worse almost all the time, except for some specific poison synergies. So, not super good. Unfortunately, because it has a lot of overlap with Rocky Helmet. Honestly, I think if Rocky Helmet wasn't a card, this card would see play. I don't expect it to see play now, though, unfortunately. Again, except for like super specific synergies where it's okay. And then there's some generic trainers. Guzma's okay. Getting rid of tools is like fine enough, I guess. Though it's a bit of a commitment for a deck slot, especially as a supporter. If this was an item, I think it would be played some, but it's not. And then Lana is a gust. If you have an Araquanid in play, Araquanid is like kind of bad. It does. It's not very good, right? But you could, getting the gust is obviously really good. I don't think it has a use case really, but it's an interesting card to consider. Overall, though, tell me what you think about this set, and if you think this set's cool. How you're finding Pocket as well. I took a little bit of a break from Pocket. Gonna probably hop back in a little, but I hope you enjoyed. Consider liking, subscribing, hitting the bell, all that good stuff. And as I'm excited to see you in the next video.